Kat, welcome to Adulting with Joyce
Hi.
Pring. Thank you for making time.
Yay, I'm so excited.
I'm so excited to have you, my future sister-in-law. We just have to put that connection out there because
Yes.
people are gonna ask me for sure if you and Wancha are related. And for some reason, they don't usually put two and two together, right?
No, they don't. This is just the same thing when actually someone in the office was asking me about it. And I think I told you this also the other day. They were asking me if they can connect them to you. And then I said, "Oh yeah, I'll tell my brother." And then they're like, "Why? Why will we tell your brother?" Because he's the groom.
Yeah, no, and nobody knows apparently. But Kat, welcome to the show. Thanks for making it. Kat Triviño is one of the Philippines' youngest and most successful PR and marketing professionals. She works with the country's top fast food chain and represents brands as a digital and PR maven. She also leads branding and partnerships with nonprofit environmental org Quora Philippines and Knit Philippines, an organization that provides access to emotional and mental health support in the workplace.
Well, big thing that has actually spiked my career was launching my baby project, which has now grown into something super big called Kwentong Jollibee. And from there, I started doing talks in schools, universities. On the side, what's not so much more on the side, it actually takes a big amount of my time, is my advocacy work for Quora Philippines. It's a non-government organization that does a lot of ocean cleanups, a lot of environmental work, and we also tackle other global issues like human welfare and hunger and inequality. And then on the side,
Kat has 3 lives, by the way.
nine,
9 lives.
specifically.
Yeah, specifically.
I also lead this startup company called Knit Philippines, which is focused on getting mental health services in the workplace.
Amazing. And the reason why I love that you're here on the podcast is because you are the epitome of somebody who balances everything so well. So I see you do your work as a PR and marketing girl and digital maven all at the same time. And then you still get to do your scuba diving trips and then your advocacy work and then your family
Yes.
and your friends. And I think it's a feat to balance everything, right? So what is the secret to balancing all that into one Kat Trevino life?
Oh my goodness. A lot of time management. It's a lot of time management. Just making sure you dedicate certain hours of the day, scheduling, making sure you make time for what matters. And when you put your focus on one thing, it's just that one specific thing. So you're able to do it very well. So during the day, of course, my day job, I work a 9 to 5, and then when I get home, take a quick rest. I get started on all the things I need to do for the startup or for the NGO. Weekends, I dedicate the mornings for ocean cleanups. So
You do this every weekend. I can't. Sometimes
Every
you
weekend.
go home at 5 in the morning for work, and then the next day you're up again,
right.
same hour.
What can I say? Like, it fuels me as much as you would. It would be nice for you to join one day.
I'd love
one of these cleanups. We wake up. We get there at 5 a.m. and it's not the best smell in the world, but seeing all the volunteers come together, we have over 100 volunteers come every time, and seeing them so dedicated to helping the environment, cleaning the ocean, it fuels me also. And it reminds me of why I do this. I do
Yeah.
this more than for the environment. It's really for the people, because
Yeah.
this whole advocacy work, at the end of the day, it's for the future of us and our children.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then for the other things, like for example, I dedicate a lot of time also in recreation, which is this scuba diving, traveling. So managing my leaves is very important.
To make that trip to Mexico.
Exactly, manage my leaves and the budget.
Yes.
It's hard, but I also make sure, and I also remind myself that there also needs to be time for rest, and for me to be able to do all these things, there has to be an adequate amount of rest.
And you know why I wanted to touch on that? I wanted to start with balance because I feel like the constant problem that we have is to get one part of our life and let it define the entirety of it. You know, like I would personally be inclined to go, I'm a host and that's all I do, right? But when you want to talk about success and people who are holistically happy and joyful and living and living good lives, they're usually people who are living balanced life, right? So it's important to actually allot time for your work, for your advocacies, and also for your other things, for
Right.
taking care of yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and all of your other hobbies, right? And
Right.
habits.
I agree. And actually, this whole thing, this whole multi lifestyle that I have,
Multi-hyphenate that you are.
multi slash lifestyle that I have. It actually didn't start when I was as soon as I got off college. It's something that I only realized later in the game when I was working. I was already about 3-4 years working because I've already been working for almost 10 years. On my third, fourth year, I realized that when I wouldn't have such a great day at work, I would feel extra bad about it because that's the only thing that I felt defined me. I felt like my life was about work, and if it didn't go well, there was nothing else that was making me feel better. And I thought for the longest time that I could patch it up with other things, like look for love life, look for someone to support me, someone else to make me happy. When I realized that, I can make myself happy. I can do all these things. I can prove my worth and give myself enough self-love. So I went out to look for purpose. And from that search for purpose, from the traveling that I did, the solo traveling, I realized, okay, my love is in the environment. And then so I went out to look for like-minded people. And then from there, it just grew to all these things.
And then now you're doing 800 things all at once, trying to
Just
balance
juggling,
everything.
yes,
Yes.
and it's very fulfilling. It's very fulfilling. Because when something bad would happen either at work or with the advocacy, it can't be 100% all the time. I always remind myself like that one thing does not define my worth. I am all these things, and I remind myself that there's so much more to be proud of.
Yeah. And I like what you said there. You can't let one aspect of your life define everything that you are. You are a multifaceted human being capable of a lot of things. And so you shouldn't just stay into that one box that you're doing. It could be a part of you, but it shouldn't technically define everything about you. But let's backtrack a little bit. The constant question that I would get here on the podcast is from a lot of college students or young professionals is how do they figure out what to do after college? And you mentioned that you've been working for almost 10 years now, and it's not because you're much older than me. We're almost the same age, but it's because you finished college pretty early, right?
Yeah, I finished at 18.
18, because she's very smart, so she skipped a lot of grades.
When I was a kid. Child star lang. And then after that, parang, ano na nangyari?
Okay pa rin naman. Okay, so 18, you finished college. Did you know what you wanted to do after college? Right after college?
Actually, no. I graduated from LaSalle Communication Arts, and actually that wasn't my first choice. I got into college I was entering college at 15, and at that time my mom was like, nope, you're not going to Manila. There's no way I'm bringing you to Manila all by yourself. So the school that I went to was in LaSalle. Then it was called LaSalle Canlubang. It was 5 minutes away from home, and I'd walk to school every day. And my mom said, take an easy course. And I say that with air quotes. And so I thought, this communication arts doesn't have math. I'm gonna take this. So I took it, and I liked the course because it's broad enough for me to enjoy everything. I did a little of communication theory. I did a little of production, film, and also radio. And then also I did a lot of writing. And I realized that I also enjoyed those things, and I was also kind of good in them. So, and college was also the year for me that I wanted to just bust out of my shell. Because in high school, I was really just quiet and just always at the back of the room. I was always just, you'd almost always forget that I'm there. That's how quiet I was.
Wow.
And so I realized that, I needed to break out of that shell. I needed to do more and be more. And so I ended up enjoying my stay in college. I ended up enjoying a lot of the production side of things, communication side of things. And while I was there, I also did not like the feeling of also asking my parents for allowance. So I also did a lot of side work.
Wow. What were the side works that you were doing?
So while I was there, I was learning how to self-taught and how to code, how to do graphic design. And so when I was getting the hang of it, I'd get some friends or some friends of friends to do racket with me, and then we'd earn money off of making websites or coding and all
Wow.
these things. And then I loved the idea that I was making my own money at such a young age, and I felt like I want to keep doing that,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed it. So I told my parents, I think I want to keep doing. I want to get started with working, and then I wanted to be more independent. And you know me, you know the family dynamics. I would always just like, yeah, I'm gonna do this by myself.
That's right. Yeah. I like that you said that because I think most people are afraid to do things because they think or they feel like it's not gonna support what they want to be the future self that they have an idea of, right? So parang if I want to be a PR or a marketing or a digital maven girl, this coding and other things will not help me. That's the thought bubble, right? But when you look at every opportunity as an opportunity for you to grow or bring a new part of who you are, a new characteristic, you tend to try all these other different things
Agree.
that eventually lead you to who you're supposed to be. Is that kind of the process that you went through?
Actually, the thing that was going on in my head lang was that I'm enjoying these things and I'm making money off of it. It's
Yeah.
not, there was no end goal for me other than to love what at the end, my end goal was just, I want to be in a career or in a job that I love. I
Okay.
want to, at that time, it's like, I wanted it to be more of, feel like play more than work. Because then if work feels like you're going to have to drag yourself in the morning,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. That's the only thing that I envisioned for myself at the time.
Yeah.
And then I said, I'm going to figure out, I'm going to find myself along the way. I'm going to go try all these things. And even until now, I'm just dabbling into new things.
Yeah.
And that's actually what made me different. When I got into, prior to joining Jollibee, I was with Globe. And what made me stand out from everybody else there was because I did all of these things and I
Yeah.
could do all of these things. I knew how to talk to developers. I knew how to be the bridge between the developers or the engineers and also the comms people. I knew their language. I also knew basics of design.
Yeah.
And so it all sort of pieced together and I got to apply everything, and
Yeah.
you don't realize na parang everything really has a reason. There's a reason why you got into that. There's a reason why you learned or you went into these things.
Yeah.
They all kind of piece together when you're already at that moment na parang okay, I'm gonna get into this new job, and then they tell you, no, we actually really like that you're like pretty all around,
Yeah.
and that's what they're looking for. And then from there you realize like, oh my goodness, there's a reason for everything.
That's right. And you don't have to really figure it out from the get-go.
Oo.
I think yun yung constant pressure, right? That when you get out of college, you have to know what you're gonna do, who you're gonna become, what's the next step. And sometimes you just have to accept that there is no solid, concrete next step. It's just baby steps into becoming the person that you love and creating a life that you personally enjoy and love.
Agree. There's no problem with like having a goal, like knowing what you want
And
to
some
do in
people
life.
have that, diba?
Yeah.
Off college, they know exactly, I'm gonna be a specialist. I'm gonna be a broadcaster. I'm gonna do particularly this one thing, and then they go on and do that. They take the steps and they do that. But then there are also some people like both you and I that didn't have a solid path to follow.
And it's so enjoyable to find things along the way. To find things that you love and find things that you also don't love. Parang love life lang yan. Parang,
Oy.
hindi mo naman alam na siya na yun. Pero like, the enjoyable part is knowing more about yourself.
And rediscovering every step of the way. Okay, so Kat, a lot of people are always panicking. They panic because they don't know what they want to do after college. They panic because they're no longer happy in their current career and their current job. They want to switch. What would be your advice for them?
Just ground yourself first and foremost.
That's
I
important.
panic.
That's a great advice.
I panic a lot. I panic a lot. Like with all these things that are happening, I also, sometimes the next step is also pretty hard for me. And I was telling you that earlier. But for me, it's really just going back to what you really want to do, what will truly make you happy, and circling back to purpose. Just knowing what your purpose is. It's because more than, of course, money is a big deal, and there's all these other factors that make the decision very hard.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you're not happy or if it's not aligned with your purpose in life, then you will never truly be fulfilled.
But also, I think what I like is you always go back to your purpose, right?
Yeah.
When you know your why, it's easy to know the what and the how and the when and the
Agree.
where, as long as you keep going back to your why. But with your work in digital and PR and marketing and all these big companies that you've worked with and worked for, how did you thrive in those environments? You're very young, you're a woman, and we both know that there are certain things that go differently for women in our generation and women as young as we are. How do you thrive in that kind of environment?
Oh my goodness, it was a learning process. It's very hard.
Yeah.
Because the people that I was working with and am working with are not my age. They're all a lot older.
Yeah.
It's a little different now. Also, well, it's still as challenging now that I have people who are also reporting under me that are not so far from my age. So
Yeah.
that's also another challenge. And also, of course, one of the factors also is that I am also a girl. In the Philippines, it is a fact that we're actually one of the most equal in terms of the gender equality in the workplace. But it still does not discount the fact that there is still some nuances of like, oh, because he's a guy, he can do this better, he can speak
Yeah.
better, he can lead better.
At saka parang feeling ko ang daming allergic sa mga strong, opinionated, highly successful women in the workplace sa Philippines. I mean, not to discount the amazing men and women who, will look after you and will mentor you and will love you and will take care of you no matter your gender. But then there are also a lot of instances where just because you are highly opinionated, you're smart, and you're young, and a woman, it makes everyone uncomfortable, right? Have you
Right.
experienced that?
Right. This is actually more of, I feel this when I hang out with people that are my age or when I'm dating. And it's when I'm dating people my age, they're automatically taken aback by this kind of person or the things that I do. Saying that, oh, I'm high maintenance. Oh, is it possible that you could be a bit bossy or something? And it's not the case, right? Like I've developed this sort of characteristic or this habit that whenever I get those kinds of comments, and I do most of the time, I don't care. I like owning up to it. I like that when they say that, oh, she's scary, oh, she's mataray. Okay, sige. It's like a filter.
Yeah.
It's like a filter. Like those who are worthy and I say this again with air quotes, worthy enough to talk to me or have something important to say, that they talk to me. And I like that. It's a different thing when you're working with an NGO. You have to be a little more soft, a little more empathic. Don't look mataray. Pero more often than not, talaga, in the workplace, I like that it gives off this sense of command
Yeah.
and talagang no bullshit talaga.
Yeah, that's right. And tama yun eh. You have to own up to it. I think the constant problem that people face is constantly changing themselves to fit those who don't like them. And you see this one wonderful person and she has all these facets in her life, but then she chooses to change who she is just to cater to other people. And then eventually you see her kind of losing who she is.
Right.
And it's constantly said, but haters will hate talaga eh. So you have to kind of just stick with who you are, be proud of it, and work on it. But also take into account if there are criticisms along the way, you just pick the ones that you think are really valid naman and grow from those points, right?
Agree. I actually had this video before with one of these brand partners, and it was talking about also my career and also the things that I did. And the first thing that I said in that video was that I like proving people wrong, and that's exactly what I still have and what I'm still pushing through. I like showing people that I can do more than just be a pretty face or more than just be a millennial. I can always break out. And the video was actually pretty successful. It had more than 1 million views. And
Wow.
the sad thing about it was the comments were filled with so many men, I would want to say boys, men, that were saying negative comments.
Like what?
Like, when she said, one of the comments were saying, when she said the first thing, I wanted, what I want to do is want to prove people wrong, I already know she's gonna be a headache. Or, meron pang
What?
isa na sinabi na, you're gonna become an old maid if you keep being like that.
Oh my gosh.
And then you're so intimidating. It takes someone truly special to change you. It's like, why would you not change me?
So
Why-
how do you deal with things or comments like that?
At first, I was like, I'm not gonna mind it. I'm not gonna mind it. But I realized, like after I was celebrating my 1 millionth view with my brand, and I said, I'm not gonna let this pass. I don't want young girls to be seeing my video and reading all these comments and thinking that this is the kind of feedback that they're gonna get for being themselves.
Yeah.
And so I started answering to all of those. Via another blog.
Yeah.
And I told them that, I'm not answering this just to be medyo bitter, or I'm not answering this to be shallow.
Yeah.
But I really want young girls to see that this is the kind of comments you shouldn't be listening to.
Yeah.
These things don't matter. And I'm answering these because I want to stand up for myself.
Yeah.
And I know that young girls also deserve people to stand up for them, deserve to be stood up for as well.
That's right. So where do you get that confidence, do you think? Where do you get that confidence to be who you are and to really tell other people that you shouldn't tell me off? Just to think about it. I mean, for me personally, it comes a lot from my personal faith in God,
Yeah.
and also my family. And I would always hear from strong-headed, probably would be a headache to some people, but that's okay, kind of women, is that they have a great circle of friends and family and support group that tell them it's okay to be who you are. What's that for you, Kat?
I would say the same thing. I would say the exact same thing. I come from a family of we are 5 kids, and I have 2 younger sisters. And I always, for the most part, I always remind myself that I will not let them take that shit. So I'm gonna show them that I don't either.
Yeah.
And when they also come to me with problems, I want them to see me as this strong person that they can always run to. And the same with you also in the future.
Yes.
So a lot of the strength comes from that. My mom is also such a powerful, very confident woman, and I also wouldn't want to let her down. I feel like, a lot of my spunk and a lot of my confidence comes from her as well. And also like, surrounding myself with the right friends. I have amazing friends that are also excellent, extremely excellent in their career, and extremely excellent in what they do.
Yeah.
And that kind of energy and that kind of confidence, just I absorb it, and I make sure that everybody feels it as well.
That's right. You become the 5 people you most hang out with, right? That's so true. And I think it's really important to also see that no person can ever thrive just by being on their own and staying in their shell. You have to learn how to reach out and to find mentors. You arrived here and you were talking about talking to your mentor and being with your mentor and finding that person that you look up to and can ask advice from. And that doesn't necessarily have to be one person. It can be a group of people. It can also be the authors that you read, right? It can also be the people that you work with. And with all of these things that you're doing, still you get to do your advocacy work. So let's talk about that, Kat.
Yeah.
You work with Cora Philippines a lot and also KNIT, right?
Yes.
So tell us more about that.
Okay, Cora Philippines is a nonprofit organization. That's most of where my environmental advocacy is at. The main advocacy pillars of Cora Philippines is in human welfare, the environment, and volunteerism. What's beautiful, it was actually founded by one of my good friends, Antoinette Toss, and she is a UN ambassador as well, and DNR ambassador. And she has taught me so much about the whole nonprofit organization world. She started off not as a professional, not as an advocacy, as an advocate, and she was telling me about her journey. And it started with her mental health, wanting to do more and see the bigger picture. And it was
Yeah.
the same thing with me. I went to find my purpose, and I went to look for something bigger than myself, just to make sure that I am grounded
Yeah.
and I am centered. And I found the environment as a great channel for me. I started by doing recreational dives prior to joining Cora. And it was one cleanup dive and realizing that the beauty of the Philippines underwater, we are considered one of the best dive sites in the world,
Yeah.
just filled with so much trash. And during my dives, I'd have this habit of bringing a bag, just getting all the trash cleaning up, and you'd see this bag filled up every time after a dive, and I'm just like, oh my
Crazy.
goodness, why are people not caring for the environment? Why are people not putting importance with this wonderful thing that could possibly make us that is actually making us one of the best things in the one of the best places in the world? And I decided to reach out to Antoinette and ask for her help. And I told her, I'm going to do anything. Just, make me volunteer, make me pick up trash anywhere, make me dive the deepest, dirtiest parts of Manila Bay. I'm going to go for it.
That's crazy.
I just want to help. And I want to help her with like whatever I can do. Spread the advocacy, share it with as much people as I can. And I started off by helping her do cleanups. And it started off by every other month we'd do cleanup when we can.
Yeah.
And then I told her that we could do more. I helped her with branding for Cora, with social media. And then after that, we started doing monthly cleanups na. So every month, and everybody is invited, we host cleanups usually in Las Piñas, Parañaque Critical Habitat. It's at the end of Manila Bay. If you're
Okay.
familiar, earlier this year, there was this really big Manila Bay cleanup.
Yes, that's you guys, right?
Yes, it was us in partnership with the DE and with the government, with
Yeah.
DNR. And it was amazing. We collected over 20 tons of trash. And there's
That's crazy.
so much trash.
And it got so much attention also from
Exactly.
all media outlets talking about how Manila Bay is now clean again. But
Exactly.
as you always say, it's just the beginning.
It's
right.
just
You
the-
can't dive in Manila Bay
No,
just
no,
yet.
not yet. As much as we want to, it looks great and all. And the reason why they actually had to cordon it off because people started swimming there.
Yeah.
And that's not supposed to be the case because the water is still contaminated, and there's still so many restaurants and so many establishments still throwing off waste into water. So we do what we can. We cleaned off the top part. I'm sure there's still more under the water that will come back to the shore. So even if people don't actively throw trash there anymore, there's still some more that will return.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the Las Piñas, Parañaque area that we always clean at. It's along the coast of Manila Bay, also by the end, and it gathers trash from two communities, Las Piñas and Parañaque.
Yeah.
But what's special about this site is it's a Ramsar protected site, and it's home to many, well, not home, it's a place where many migratory birds come to rest and eat. And so a lot of them also die there because
Of
when
how
they get
dirty it
there,
is.
it's all trash. And so we made it our personal mission to come back there every month and just gather as many volunteers, brand partners as much as possible, and educate them on the proper way of doing cleanups and proper way of segregating and then recycling the products that we gather.
Yeah.
What's different and what's really nice about Cora is that you don't need to be a professional. A lot of people get so intimidated by a nonprofit organization, thinking that I need to have some sort of number of hours of volunteer work for me
Yeah.
to join, or I need to be some sort of professional. I need to speak well. It's important that the only thing that you need to bring there is your love and your passion for helping out.
Yeah.
And you go there and you just lend a helping hand and you learn along the way. I did not start off knowing anything about plastics or anything about the problem in the Philippines. I just went there thinking and knowing that, okay, there is a problem. I don't know how big it is. I
You
just
just want to
help.
help. Yeah.
And then from there, I started educating myself, reading more books, and then I got a little more active in it.
Yeah. And you know, you don't really learn if you don't surround yourself with people who know about these
That's
things.
right.
And I like that Cora actually opens up a lot of the volunteers to that. You can just sign up and then you'll see everyone there at the site already, and then from
Exactly.
there you can start asking questions, you can help out, and if you want to be more active with it, you can continue to do that, right? Because sometimes you try to do environmental work tapos you say na, okay, this isn't something that I can personally do pala. So it leads you to another advocacy work. And that's all right also.
Exactly.
But for you didn't choose just one. You actually have two
Yeah.
advocacy work. And the other one is Knit Philippines, which apart from Cora, I absolutely love your ideas with Knit Philippines. Tell us more about that.
Knit is actually founded by two very young, very talented psych graduates. And they came up to us with the idea of offering mental health services for everyone. But when we were talking about it, we were discussing it. We did not want to set ourselves up as any other regular nonprofit organization. There are many nonprofit organizations already in the Philippines centering on mental health.
Yeah.
We understood the stigma, and coming from personal experience, we also know that a lot of the stigma comes from the workplace.
Yeah.
One of the biggest sources of stress, whether it's the workload or managing your boss or colleagues or figuring out what to do after, or even if it's external factors that affect your work in the workplace. That's something that we wanted to address. And if all businesses and organizations can afford basic health services or these health cards, why is mental health not also a priority? Mental health should be an employee benefit. Mental health services should be an employee benefit. You should be able to find your office as a safe space to talk about problems, to talk about how heavy the workload is, to even say no. It should be it shouldn't be frowned upon.
Yeah.
A lot of people also find it hard to ask for leaves or to ask for breaks, which is very important to mental health for rest. Even if you're not going somewhere out of town or out of the country, a lot of bosses or a lot of organizations, they think na, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. You should just they actually encourage na, if you don't use your vacation leaves or if you don't use your sick leaves, you have money by the end of the year. And so they try their best not to.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible.
Yeah.
But you think it's helping, but in reality,
It's not.
It's not.
So a
Yeah.
lot of people think na parang, oh, I need my money. At least I'll have money by the end of the year, but I will work and slave my ass off.
It's setting up the wrong state of mind, right? That money is more important than you taking care of yourself and resting.
Exactly. And rest is very, very important. Another thing is when people talk about mental health, they think that, oh, there's the only reason I'm going to go out and reach out to a psychologist or psychiatrist is if there's something really wrong, if I'm already on a verge of a breakdown, or if I'm already physically incapable of doing it, of getting anywhere. But a lot of our mental health is physical health.
Yeah.
There's no way you can perform your best if mentally you are not happy or not healthy. I wouldn't even say happy, because happiness is also setting it up wrong. You're not required to always be happy.
Yeah, happiness is fleeting. Shouldn't be a prerequisite to your living.
No, it shouldn't.
Yeah.
If you're gonna feel sad, you feel it out. And
That's right. You have to ride out the emotion.
exactly. And the most important thing to have there is someone to talk to, someone to share that problem with, whether that's a therapist, psychiatrist, or whether that's a trusted friend. And so we started reaching out to these organizations and ask these companies and ask them if they would like to have these kinds of services. And we've approached very progressive ones that are willing to try it out. And so we introduced Knit Philippines. It's a mental health service specifically for the workplace.
Yes.
We hire psychologists, psychiatrists, therapists, and also we do trainings for the office. So, for example, if you're not completely comfortable with talking to a professional about anything and you're more comfortable with talking to a friend or to your boss, at least your boss or your colleague is equipped with what
so
to
you
say.
train them.
Also.
Okay, wonderful.
So it's part of the package. Companies pay by retain on a monthly basis, and they get a certain amount of sessions with the therapist. It's on call. They're available for booking face-to-face call or via video chat or text chat. And it's just it's just basics pa nga eh.
Yeah.
We're not even in the medical side of things. We're not even in prescription
Yeah.
or anything, but it's just getting someone licensed or a professional there for them to talk to. Because one of the biggest stigmas is, even if I want to do it, I can't afford it and I don't know where to go. I don't know who to talk to.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's the doctors are not as readily available as, like, say, those in the clinic or the emergency room. There's no emergency room for when you are having a mental or an anxiety or a breakdown.
Yeah.
So it's important to have those kinds of services readily available.
Yeah. And I think it's also a great idea for a country like the Philippines that's growing so vastly and quickly economically. And I was in South Korea recently, and I was talking to our tour guide, and she was saying that, there are a lot of mental health issues now in South Korea, and she was telling me that she thinks it's because South Korea progressed so quickly and the people aren't able to follow through in their mental and emotional state. That's why a lot of people are suffering, right? And so starting this kind of organization, this kind of company that really caters particularly to, I guess, the frontliners of a country in the development of it, like the workers and the professionals, it's really equipping them in such a way that will make them stronger internally so that they can be strong externally.
I agree.
Right? And that's so important. So hopefully you guys could check that out, Knit Philippines. It's just starting out. It's a great advocacy and great work, and I know that you're helping a lot of people out. So thank you for that,
Thank
Kat,
you.
and to everyone that you're partnered with. And also with Planet Cora, they can, of course, volunteer, right? Very,
Yes.
very easy. Before we let you go, and let them check out your sinosikat.com and the rest of your social media platforms to know what you're up to and, of course, your advocacy work. I have a question for young professionals like you and successful people like you who feel burnt out. What would be your advice for them? It can be something personal that has worked for you, or something that you think you might have learned from working with Cora and Knit Philippines.
Mine will always be rest. I am not ashamed of spending the whole day in bed and just like, I'm just gonna spend this whole day doing nothing and just watching my favorite Netflix show and eating my favorite food, whether that's junk food or any kind of comfort food. Just making sure that I rest. If I have to cry it out, I will cry it out. But then I have to get back on my feet.
Yeah.
I make sure that after that whole day is done, list down the most important things I need to do to get through the next day. And it almost always turns out super productive the next day.
Yeah.
The rest does not have to take a day. It can take longer than that. You can take as much rest as you can.
Yeah.
And sometimes also, it also helps na you put yourself away from the environment you're always in.
Yeah.
Volunteering has helped a lot for me in terms of my mental health. And
That's so true. There are a lot of actually studies that affirm that when you volunteer and when you take care of other people, apart instead of focusing in yourself, you feel better.
exactly. It puts the worries away. And I end up thinking about, okay, I'm getting back to my roots and getting back to the why of why I do these things. This is for these people. This is, I remind myself of what's important, my
Yeah.
priorities. Because the reason naman that most of the time, the reason we feel burnt out is when we do try to do so many things all at once, and then you end up not doing anything at all because you get so burdened with everything that's happening.
Yeah.
And so you realign, you reconnect through rest or through taking yourself out of the box for a bit and recognizing the most important things that you need to do.
That's so good. Recognize the most important thing that you need to do, and at the same time, learn to rest and write down your priorities. Thank you, Kat, for being on the show. Yay! Grabe, oh. We have 41 minutes down the bag already with Kat Triviño. Of course, thank you very much for joining us here on the show. Thank you very much for listening to this episode of Adulting with Joyce Pring, and for watching as well on the vlog. If you would like to interact with us, you can do so in the comment section or go to joycepring.com for the show notes. But Kat and I would love to hear from you, so we've got a question.
Let's do free therapy. What is the best mental health advice you've received recently?
What is the best mental health advice you've received recently? All right.